Good win. Had a good start to the week. So traveling to UMass. So what you got? Defensively, they really, just played very, very well. Flew to the ball, good attack. Really did a good job on third down stops. Just really harassed. Didn't get the running game going. Got them one-dimensional. Got them third and long. Just kind of rattled them. Same time, defensively, UMass played pretty solid defense. They really gave up 2 touchdowns, scored on their defense for 37 points. There's 2 other touchdowns that came when the defense went on the field, and they held them to some field goals, and they held them to some field goals after 2 long punt returns. So I thought their defense, played well, but their offense struggled. But that just UConn just played salty, played hard, played really well. It was impressive. I don't know. We haven't studied UConn. I don't know if they're extremely. Not sliding them. I haven't looked at those guys, but they really did very, very well against them. I don't know if that means what our guys will do. We got a lot of work to do.
I know the guard positions are somewhat interchangeable, but we saw Feeney during camp play at left guard a lot. He ended up playing a lot of right guard against ISU. What was the reason, kind of? A
little bit of trying to find the right combinations, but also 2 young freshmen playing side by side, where you got Bernard Taylor, right there beside Jason with communication. You've got Maddie and Peyton Eckert stuck between Dan Feeney. So instead of just putting 2 young guys out there on an island, just to try to clean it up. But bottom line, we're either man and sliding protection. So you either got your guy or building a wall. So it's just flipped, or either you're pulling right or pulling left on power, and everything else is kind of zone blocking. So it's not as hard to interchange that position if a kid can think schematically, big picture. So Dan handled it pretty well. I thought he had a solid game for a first start.
Win with a long touchdown on a kickoff last year. He has a long play for a touchdown on a pass reception this year. With his speed, how much of an opportunity does he have to be a big part of the passing game this year?
Well, I think he's going to. That's a great question. I think potentially he really should and needs to have a big year for us. I think he should have a fair amount of touches, and I think there were some opportunities the other day where we, in progressions, maybe should have got to him because I think he matched up on safeties, and man-to-man coverage is one of the bigger mismatches. If you ever catch him on a linebacker, it's a real big hill. He's going to struggle sometimes blocking. So there's 2 different thoughts with the slot player. You get a smaller guy, and he's going to struggle physically in some of the matchups. But then he's going to be so much quicker that there's some advantages. So it's give or take. He does, though, for a little guy, play with a little substance. He plays, he came back, had a nice crack on one of their big guys, and, he's not afraid, and he does play fast. He's been our one, if not the best practice player from the offensive side all camp. And I really think hopefully he'll have it's nice he can make some big plays, but I really think he'll hopefully just have a consistently really good year. I think he can. I think we need him to.
Do you feel the offensive line held up with that up-tempo that you guys were really going at a decent speed? How do you think guys held up, especially into the second half?
Well, physically, I think as far as holding up conditioning-wise, really good. I don't think, I think we're in reasonably a well-conditioned team. I think we've worked hard, and it's a credit to Coach Hill, and it's a credit to his staff, but it's also a credit to, we had 110 kids here all summer. Had every kid here, and those guys, it's voluntary, but from what I gathered, I think they were there every day, every kid, and they were holding each other accountable, and that's voluntary work. But I think the players, we try to put some leadership on a bunch of guys, and I think they kind of really held guys to come there. So conditioning's pretty good. Now, you get going fast, sometimes you get a little frantic, and you go the wrong way once in a while, or you get a glitch, or you flinch in your stance. So it's just settling down. It's learning how to, in the basketball, if you're listening to Coach Wooden, he talked about, play quick but don't be in a hurry. Play fast but don't rush. So there's some times where you got to learn how to, as quick as you're going, how to still stay in control as we play.
It's kind of tail back by committee, out there a little bit, especially the first half you used 3 a lot. How did that work? Positives, negatives you see from that?
Okay. Coach McCullough kind of manages them. We don't think, okay, one guy's in, don't do these plays or feature these plays. They kind of all, if it's pass protection, they got to pick it up. If it's a route, they got to run it. if we go two tailbacks, there's certain jobs they do when we get to two tailbacks. But we're in a normal one back or an I formation set. If we're running power or counter or a belly play or a stretch play, they all run it. So we don't really change the play call. I did think the other night we were a little conservative, trying to protect the young linemen with the combination of guys. And, one time at night you look out there on tape and there was 3 freshmen and 6 sophomores, and they were true sophomores. So, I mean, you're young, and when you're calling plays, my original boss would say, quit thinking about who's playing and just call the play, because you will talk yourself out of every call. And so you just got to call it. But I think, in the second half, and I don't want to say we got conservative, but we had a chance maybe to take some, to just be a little bit more aggressive in our thought process, where I think we ran into some loaded boxes. I kept telling the quarterback sometimes, it's a little bit of our fault. And at the same time, I think we were trying to not stress out some young players. And that might be one of the reasons it was a little closer, one of the reasons why as we moved down, we didn't complete some drives. So we'll keep, as a coach, you gain confidence as you play. You gain confidence in what your players can do. And I think Coach Luttrell and Coach Johnson, Coach Fry will be more assertive as these guys keep playing together, and you truly see what they can and can't do. So I thought the young line held, I thought they held up reasonably well.
And like left tackle, kind of how did Spriggs perform? First game into his college career.
He had a couple busts, but I mean, he was the one lineman that we thought had the best grade. At 7, 8 knockdowns, and still teaching him how to play hard. Quit thinking. But again, when you're young and day one, I think he's going to be a special player. And I thought it was a very decent start. We'll play better. No disrespect to Indiana State. We'll play more talented fronts, but that was the strength of their team. I think their one player, 92, is going to be an NFL caliber kid. He'll get a crack at it, whether he gets picked late or a free agent guy. I mean, they were touting. He had 22 tackles in one game last year. A boatload of sacks their team had. And so to come out with no sacks and really to come out without the quarterback getting harassed. And a little bit of that, the tempo actually helps pass rush. It's kind of hard to rush the passer when you're not in a good stance. You don't run a good 40 when you're not in a good stance. So sometimes that tempo helps the left tackle.
Important for him to kind of come out against, knowing he had a big test in front of him, his first game, just to kind of maybe get that focus or add a little bit of an edge for him?
It was just good to see him play well in the opening game, because again, he's going to play a reasonably stressful position. But again, he played a very good player. He'll play better players. But I told him Friday, I said, one of these days you're going to be in the NFL and you're going to laugh about this first game because you're going to see some real guys coming off the edge. No disrespect. Because as you play, he's going to have there's some phenomenal players in this league. He's going to match up against them. We'll continue to develop him and grow him. He'll have to match up this year. And we'll have to help him out as we keep going. But he did well. He's got a good look in his eye. He's a very good athlete. Dan Feeney's the same way. Those two guys are as talented as any lineman we have. They're young, but they're physically good players. And they're going to be good players as we move forward.
What makes you think, you just said when you're in the NFL someday, what makes you think that Spriggs has that kind of potential? What about him do you look at and say? What does he have that are NFL characteristics that make him look like that kind of player?
4'7", he's 270 pounds, 10% body fat. He's going to be 310. He's going to be athletic. He's going to be a great player.
Take him to get that big, and what is it going to take for him to be that big?
Based on what I saw, he was eating lunch longer than I want. He needs to eat. I'm on a diet. He needs to eat what I eat on my diet.
How'd you come out of the game injury-wise?
Reasonably well. No one glitched up. We got Sliger back going this week, practicing. Be interesting as we move where he is, because he's practicing. He's practicing in the fray of things, but we'll be smart. But I think he's close to being. I thought Alex Todd and Darius Rayner, a true freshman, redshirt freshman, came in and really helped us there. I thought this morning we had great work this morning with those guys with Sligs back in. So we're we got a couple guys that got their suspensions that we had out of the way. So we're better than we were a week ago, and we'll keep moving forward with that.
Played a decent amount of snaps in the first half, didn't get as many in the second half. Was it just a matter of just trying to get him comfortable, get his feet wet?
Hit on his shoulder and acted like he was hurt. So he took a college hit, and at the same time, the game was close. And those other guys are decent players, but again, he's got some. He's he has a good future, so does Jason Spriggs, but we got to be slow. There's a lot of potential for those guys to be quality players for Indiana in time. I just was having a conversation with Nick Stoner, and I shared this before, but Nick plays all last year, and at this time of year he goes through all of summer and all of preseason, and the first half of the season as a defensive back. And then he plays a few games, but you're not really coaching techniques, you're coaching schemes. Well, then he misses the majority of spring practice running track. He gets some spring practice, but he's really a full-time track guy. So I'm talking to Nick about, like, hey, you're still kind of raw as fast as you are. We don't see your speed yet because you're learning how to think and play fast as a receiver. And that's the same thing with Tevin, Jason Spriggs, same things with the junior college linebackers and the junior college players. We're still young enough that as you play, you go through growing pains. They keep learning how to play faster. And what we saw today was the best practice since I've been here. It was nice to come out and win, but we got after today. We had a physical inside. We were flying around a team. We matched up against each other a little bit because there's similarities in the UMass defensive approach as far as schematically and what we do. There's similarities in UMass's offensive approach. So we actually did a little competitiveness, and there was some great juice for a Tuesday practice. So those are growing pains. And at the same time, though, I mean, a lot of things can happen, and guys say he's going to be a pro player is never going to have that chance because things happen in guys' careers. But there are guys that make a lot of money today that weren't what that left tackle was the first day he walked into college. So that if that left tackle does what he needs to, if that running back does what he needs to, if there's a lot of kids, what we got at this place is guys don't keep doing what they're supposed to do. They get off track. They don't stay hungry. They don't stay driven. They don't stay focused. And the hard deal in this day and age is guys just keep bringing it every day, keep coming every day. That's the growing pains of being a good team. The biggest difference still between us being a good team and not is learning how to compete. Today was a very nice competitive Tuesday practice, which we haven't had. We thought last week our Thursday and Friday was as good as we had been. And I think that's when the game got close. Our kids didn't panic. We didn't execute a couple kick plays cleanly and a couple offensive drives, but our defense was sharp down the stretch, and that's just some of the growing pains as we move forward.
The UConn-UMass game, there were a couple UConn drives where they were really kind of able to just ground and pound, 4 or 5 yards at a time. Is that something you guys are capable of doing at this point or even want to do, when you have an opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, we still, we had a decent running attack the other night, and like I said, we're going to try to be a lot better throwing. I think we've shown that we are going to be maybe a little bit better in the throw game, and we still need to be better than we were, but we're not going to get away and not have not saying 50-50, but you've got to be able to run the ball. And so, but do we, again, I don't know UConn's personnel that to watch that game tape, they're doing a lot of things in I formation with big tight ends, and we do that some, but there's not a lot of that game that fits us. And so their style of attack is probably just a little bit different, a little bit more under center. And we did some of that Saturday, and we'll have that in every game, but that's not where we start our game with. So, but we do need the run mix, and we do need to run, because as you can run the ball, then there's a little play action, there's a little bit move the pocket, and as you run the ball, they just don't tee off on your quarterback. And I thought the other night the ability to have a fair running game really helped the left tackle and those young linemen pass block, because we weren't just dropping back. There was a little bit of rhythm to the offense as far as a little bit of keeping that defense off guard.
You talked about the running game, and Trey was an important component of that down the stretch last year. You ran a little bit option in the third quarter with him, but he didn't tuck it and run very much. He stayed in there, he threw the ball. It looked like he went through his progressions pretty well. How did you feel he played in terms of not using his feet, maybe more than you would have wanted him to? In other words, he didn't use his feet as much.
Again, he missed some plays, but he did a lot of things exactly what we wanted. Not that we don't want him to scramble around, but he actually played in rhythm, got the ball out on time. I thought he had 2 errant passes I didn't like, one on a scramble, one on a dead play where he threw it in the middle of the field where you think it's a free play, but what if it's not? It was a daring throw that I didn't like when we got them to jump off sides. So I thought he played very well. I still thought he missed a couple. He missed, he threw one low to Ted Bolzer that's going to be a touchdown. He hit him on stride. We got one called back on a pick. We missed a skinny post where Stoner's a little bit late coming out of a break. That's a touch. We had one time an opportunity on man coverage to take Shane Wynn on a safety. If he goes that direction, I think Shane maybe makes a big play. We just missed a few. But he played well. Now we didn't have a lot of quarterback run game in that last game. We went in that game not wanting to run him. And so, but he'll scramble around, which we move the pocket with bootlegs a little bit and some run pass mix with him, and there'll be some quarterback run. But, when you go through 12 games, there's a lot of hits that those guys take, and I just felt early it would be nice in what we're trying to be a little bit more complete, because we can still run him. But I don't know if we win a bunch of games running him a whole lot. And so we'll run him when we need him. And the more critical the game and the situation, he'll be a very vital part of what we're doing. But early in the game, we were trying to force a style of play to see if we could have a little bit more balance and be a little bit more traditional and show that he can be I think he's going to be as he moves forward, I think he'll show he'll be hopefully a reasonably complete quarterback.
I think he completed passes to, I think it was 11 different receivers. I mean, is it important from his position to get a ton of different guys involved just as the season goes on?
I don't know if I'd say a ton as much as we're not necessarily going to a guy. A lot of things we're doing are half-ball reads. There's something over here and there's something over here, and based on coverage rotations and blitzes, he's got pre-snap and he's working aside, and it's a two-man game, three-man game. Sometimes you have other crossing routes and deep throws, but there's a lot of where the ball is spaced out. You're trying to make the defense defend the field horizontally and vertically. It's 53.5, it's 120. And I thought the other day, the only thing we didn't do, not that we need to be bombs away, but we let it crowd up a little. Had a chance to go by him once in a while that we didn't. And that hurt the running game in the third and fourth quarter, maybe stalled out the drive where we missed an opportunity or two. We're going to play as fast as we play multiple receivers. So you're going to get 5, 6, 7 receivers in the game, 1 or 2 tight ends, couple 3 backs. The backs are part of the game. The tight ends are part of the game. And Coach Luttrell would tell you, if you're talking balance of offense, you're not talking run pass, but you're talking make them defend every player so that this guy's just not a decoy. And so that's why we do a lot of routes on air. Those guys have tennis ball machines in the locker room. They catch balls nonstop just for hand-eye. And, if you're going to play in our offense, whether you're a tailback, tight end, or receiver, you need to have good hands and catch the ball. And hopefully, again, will it always be 11? Maybe there's a game at 6, 7, 8, but we like to have a lot of people involved. And that's why, to me, there's not really a depth chart that you guys make a big deal about sometimes, like who's starting. We play a bunch of guys, a bunch of tailbacks. We're trying to work more guys at tight end, a bunch of receivers. We're going to play about 18 or 20 guys on offense, and they're all kind of starters or they're key contributors in what we do.
How important was it for Mitchell Voss to get that first game out of the way, just to get used to the speed, just get rid of those nerves?
Yeah, good. He did a good job in our holes, but we need him to do better. And, again, you try. And Matt Dooley's been good, but, at the end, that one snap at the very end, Matt pulls him about yard and a half to the left and got Mitchell out of whack and had a horrible punt there at the end when they were doing the all-out abort the mission 11-up block deal. We just trying to one step and just get it over their head and get it rolling. And we had a snap, and Matt's been an awesome snapper last year as a true freshman through this game. So those guys need to be better. But it wasn't. He's got it out of his way. But again, we're going to expect him. I've never in my life, and I've never. Of course, you're never at every team and coach for every coach. But I've never spent as much time committed to special teams as I've been this preseason and as we're doing on a weekly basis. And we need our special team play we're counting on winning games and being more productive and being successful in the kicking game. And we need a lot more in the kicking game than we got Saturday.
Would there be any additional significance in getting this FBS victory out of the way, or not even?
Well, you guys are saying that just win FBS, it doesn't count, so it really doesn't matter. So to me, it'd be good to go on the road and win. It'd be good to get number 2. So whether the FBS, to me, we're trying to get W's. And so it'd be nice to get the next one. It'd be nice. And what I like is the fact that it was a little tougher than you want it to be on paper, but we didn't panic. We could have cleaned up some things offensively and kicking, but we missed a couple tackles. But it was a solid. You don't turn it over. You don't have a lot of significant penalties. You don't have a lot of errors. You sack them. You don't get sacked. We didn't play. We need to play better, but we weren't sloppy. What I like is we addressed them aggressively yesterday on what you saw in making strides, and I really like the way we worked on Monday and Tuesday. Because as coaches, we need to be better. And I actually talked to the coaches about that. We talk about teams getting better. Hey, coaches need to be better in your preparation, what you're working on, getting your kids excited and enthused about playing. So, to me, this is about the second one. We're going to play 6 games on the road. 6 games that it's always tough to win on the road, but we got to go to UMass. We're going to Navy. We got the 4 Big Ten games. We got to have success on the road to have a good year. And so we're just using this as an opportunity, no matter what the letter of who they are. We just need to be a team to take 1 win, learn how to handle success, and 2, show that we can be a team to take our business on the road and go play another play harder than we played, and still play with some discipline and get win number 2. Okay. All right, guys. Appreciate you being here.